News, the podcast for myself, my co-host Ren, explore our Earth and extraterrestrial concerns and interests. How you doing, Ren?
I'm doing well. We got some exciting stuff to chat about today. So tell
Yes,
me
yes,
what's
yeah,
on here first. Tell me about the
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, so yeah, I guess we before we get into like the meats and potatoes, the normal things we discuss on here, I'll take you back to I guess yeah, last Friday. I was usually on Fridays or either like Fridays or Thursdays. I'll work from home. I'll pick the one day, but yeah, I worked from home on Friday, and I didn't really have any food in my apartment, so I'm like, I'll go out and get something for lunch,
mm,
and I leave my apartment, and I think I've talked about this on the pod before, but I'm about like a 15-minute drive from from Cedar Point, and and like I'm like by the exit where people will get off the highway to get on the road that kind of leads them to the entrance to Cedar Point.
mm,
So it's definitely during the summer, like adding on, people are going to be traveling a lot more anyways, but adding on to, Cedar Point traffic is usually really crazy. But this was like, honestly, it was like Friday at like 1 or 2 p.m. So I'm like, all right,
mm.
it's going to be busy. But I get out there, it took me like over like a half hour to just do something that would have taken me probably like 10 minutes. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, why is like this isn't normal like Cedar Point traffic. And apparently this was the opening weekend for their
Mm.
new ride, Siren's Curse, which I love that name, by the way, with it being on the water and stuff. Like that's a sick coaster name.
Mm-hmm.
And, I knew of this coaster and I knew it wasn't released yet, but I didn't know that it was this weekend. But it makes sense because it's like the weekend before 4th of July. And I'm sure that's going to be it's probably going to be
Yeah.
really busy again the next few weeks. But, uh, but yeah, I don't know if you've seen videos of this ride. It's really crazy though. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. But pretty much what happens is, and there's other rides like this, but like a lot of the rides at Cedar Point, they usually like when they introduce a new ride, it's going to be breaking some kind of record
Mm-hmm.
for that type of ride. And I can't remember the name. I think it's called a tilt coaster, because pretty much what happens is you get up to the top of the
Oh, and then
hill,
it
you're
does the
going up
little
here,
like
it does the tilt, yeah,
yeah.
and it's like a mechanical tilt of the track, and then you're like looking down
Mm-hmm.
for like a few seconds before it drops you. So it's kind of like a drop tower kind of thing, but it looks crazy. It looks really fun, but yeah, it was. I'm sure the lines were like
Yeah.
hours
It's
long, probably over 3 hours, I
yeah.
imagine.
I've never been up to there yet, so I'll have to make a trip up there
Mhm.
eventually. But
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I will say that's like I eventually do want to ride this ride. I don't know if I want to wait that long to ride it. The
yeah.
one nice thing about this when they introduce new rides like this, it cuts the wait time for all the other coasters,
Mm.
especially like my favorite coasters like Steel Vengeance, which before this coaster was and it still is going to be a very busy ride regardless because I'm sure other people have the same ideas like as I
Mm.
do, but um yeah, that ride is usually hours long as well. So I'm sure this will be a lot shorter for all the rides. Is not just Steel Vengeance, like Millennium Force and a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of the other ones too. But um, yeah, no, cool. I don't know how they keep adding more rides to this park because they got a limited amount of space, because it's like a little peninsula.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's not really a lot of room to work with, but they're making room. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
there's a
It's
great like 15-20 minute pod that Freakonomics did about like the economics of making a roller coaster and like maintaining it. Because there's huge investments, but usually they do end up making their money back. It just takes a long time. And so
yeah.
it's really interesting, that and then like the people that designed them, it's crazy. Because I think there's only like two or three companies now in the US that actually design wooden
Mhm.
roller coasters, what they're talking about. But yeah, the roller coasters in
Mm,
general, the companies that have designed them is like they're shrinking tons and tons and tons because the companies got bigger, right? And yeah, it's interesting. But Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely we'll have to check that out to see, how that goes. Hopefully your traffic dies down for you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I'll just have to plan around it.
there was other news that was up there in the Believe land, right? You guys
Yeah,
are getting a new
yeah.
team.
Yeah, in this a few months ago, there were rumors that Cleveland was going to be one of the cities that was going to get a new like expansion WNBA team, but it wasn't like a confirmed thing until today. Yeah, they pretty much confirmed. They confirmed that they'll be here in 2028, and then I think in 2029 Detroit's getting one, and
Hmm.
then I think in 2030, Philadelphia is getting one, which surprising that Philadelphia doesn't already have one.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would have had one by now.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, obviously, all three of those places have men's teams, right? Well, does Detroit have a men's? Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's
Yep.
interesting. Are they generally paired together? Like, are they same ownership generally, or no?
I'm not sure about that. I think for this though, it's going to be same ownership because they're going to be playing at the same
Yeah.
stadium, um, or the same arena as the Cavs are. But that would make the most sense, I'd say, because it seems like a very like similar kind of style of operations, and
Hmm.
um, I can't imagine the WNBA team is going to be as much as, or at least right now, probably ever, but definitely now not as much as a NBA team. But it is like it's cool to see that it is growing. They're
Yeah.
able to expand it to other cities. That's a really good sign. I'm just hoping, um, like, and we'll talk about the Blue Jackets. I know you talked about how bad the expansion of the Blue Jackets was and how it didn't set them up for success in the future. So I'm hoping that's not the case here. But if Dan Gilbert, who's the owner of the Cavs, is the owner of this new team, I think they're going to be just fine because he's already one of the like he's not worried about going over and
Hmm.
going over the cap or having spend a little bit more money to get a really good product. So yeah, thankful we have him, and yeah, it would be really cool if he's going to be leading the charge
Yeah.
for this new
And
team.
and just generally, dude, you know, uh, excited to see more teams in Ohio. Like, this is a great thing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, just great. CBJ Jackets.
yeah,
The NHL
hmm
draft was a couple days ago. I think it was on Friday night actually, but doesn't matter. And Jackets ended up not being able to trade their picks that they wanted to trade. They wanted to bring in the
mm
star, and they ended up drafting guys. And the NHL draft, when they're drafted, they're like 17, 18 years old for the most part. So usually the guys go play minor league or like go to college for
hmm
before they come to the NHL. So like unless they're absolute stars, you usually don't have guys come in that young, right?
yeah,
So every once in a while you might, but usually you don't see them for a few years after you make the draft. So it's a little bit of a bummer to not get the
yeah,
bring in nice a dude. We brought in a couple like depth pieces, like
yeah. I saw
older
those.
veterans, but it's really
hmm
nothing too exciting yet. I think there is hope that they get somebody else, but yeah, it kind of eh, wait and see kind of draft for the Jackets.
Yeah, I guess was there? Do you know if there was like anyone they were eyeing that ended up
So
going to another team
yeah, so
or?
I think it was a defenseman on the Islanders, and
Mhm,
he's like a 29-year-old dude. I'm blanking on his name, but it came out for what the other team that gave him. I think he went to Montreal, or in somewhere in Canada, and they ended up giving him two first round picks and a star, like and a good player. And I think that what it came down to for us was we were willing to give those picks up, but we didn't want to give up one of our good players because we were trying to build, right? So,
yeah,
um, yeah, and I think that it seemed it like the reports were that the Jackets had the first call on this and could have pulled the trigger, but they didn't do it. And it's probably a good decision. They just re-signed, all the dudes. So for the most part, we have the same team rolling back. Besides for these new depth pieces, hopefully those guys just add a little bit. there's still no like out and out goal scorer, like true goal scorer on this team. So unless somebody
Mhm.
steps up, which is totally possible, it's just
Yeah.
like that's a piece you're missing on the
Mhm.
Jackets.
Yeah, and I get it with the trade because I guess you're trying to find a player from a team where that team is maybe looking more to like rebuild and not stay where they're at. So it's
Yeah,
like they're going to be looking more for just a bundle of picks instead of getting picks and a player. Um, so yeah, that's unfortunate, but you don't want to you want to stay true to your identity. You don't want to throw just make up a trade just to make up a trade. So
yeah,
hopefully,
exactly.
hopefully they're still able to get something, before the season.
There is still a couple more guys out there that they think they're trying to get. Obviously now you're not trading picks for this draft because the draft's already happened, right? So now you're
Yeah.
either trading prospects or you're trading future picks. So, that's kind of more money on the table, but I feel like a lot of time future picks are like you have to give more of them up, you know what I mean, for now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
because on your side as the GM, you're like, oh, I might not even be here 2 years from now. Whatever, I'll give this away. But the other guys do the same, thinking the same thing. I won't get to take advantage of those, 2 year from now draft picks unless I have
Mhm.
a good team, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough balance there. But
Hmm. Hmm.
um, let me ask
Yeah.
you. You have on here an interesting question.
Yes. Yes. So the question I have on here, and I'll ask you, and
Yeah,
then and my response isn't even I haven't really thought about it too much, but it's
yeah.
just something I saw, and I just looked at. I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous. Like, I don't know how this is possible, but I'll ask you, who, in your opinion, who is the most dominant athlete of all time?
See, no, this is hard because if you want to talk
And there's a
about
lot of sports, a lot of
And
athletes. It's
exactly.
hard to
If you
pick.
want to talk about the athlete who, relative to their sport, is just unbelievably better than anyone else they played with, well, that would be Wayne Gretzky in the NHL. Because if
Okay.
you go look at the points, which is goals and assists, right? Until recently, he just had his goal record broken, right? He still has about
Mhm.
1,700 more points than Ovechkin does. So, it's like the amount of assists he has, right? I think is so much. I believe that if you take the second guy's assist and subtract it from Wayne Gretzky, he still has more than the third guy. Like that's
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's insane.
So and then he was
Hmm.
also the top goal scorer until this year. So
Yeah, but it's like he does everything else. Sets other people up
he
for
did,
goals too.
yeah,
Um,
he
it's
did
pretty
both.
much all. Yeah,
He's called the Great
and
One. So
the great one. Yeah, so I guess I think that's a great pick. So what I saw, and I knew she was already like amazing
mhm.
as well. But this I was like, holy crap. So the top 20 times ever, and this is for swimming, top 20 times ever in the women's 1500-meter free.
Mhm.
Katie Ledecky has all top 20
That's
times
pretty nuts.
of all time. No one has cracked the 20,
Yeah.
and she just set the eighth best time. I think it was last week or a few days ago. But like that's I think that's crazier than Michael Phelps. Like Michael Phelps was great, and he had all the. And Katie Ledecky has. She's going to keep getting more. I don't know how many she's gonna
Hmm.
end up with, but in terms of just dominance, I guess for women's sports, I'll say she's probably the top. I can't
Yeah.
really think
I
of
mean,
another person.
obviously, right? We already talked about WNBA, but like Caitlin Clark, right, is in its early days for her, but it seems like
Hmm.
she seems to be pretty dominant for the rest of the league,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so who knows how once she like kind of hits the peak,
Yeah,
but
and she's already a big part of why there's these expansion teams
yeah,
coming. Like
yeah.
she's like drawing so many more
Well, it's
eyes
it's
to
actually crazy
that league.
because it's very similar to like Messi effect in Miami, where like even the away games, it's like when Messi's there or when Miami's gonna play, it's like those are sellouts.
Hmm.
When that team hasn't been selling out their stadium all year, and it's the same I saw with Caitlin Clark, where they're the away games that she's playing. It's like, oh yeah, this is they're still. It's kind of nuts to compare her and Messi, but it's like
Yeah,
it's interesting
it's
that it's
yeah,
having that
no,
same effect.
dude. I want. When we have that team in 2028, we got to go Steeler. I don't care. Sorry, Indiana. We're taking Caitlin from
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
there you
she's gonna
go.
be our new LeBron.
There
Come
you
on,
go.
come on, Caitlin.
Um,
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I saw that and I thought it was really like cool that someone could be that dominant and you don't really like hear about her too much just because you only really hear about swimming during the Olympics, and we all know how good the U.S. national team can be, and it's like they
yeah.
keep pumping people out. Um, but yeah, she's a freak of nature. It seems like
Well,
with
okay.
with her.
I've got another pitch for you. Somebody that potentially has or has the potential to be that guy down the line, and that's
Yeah.
Erling Haaland. Okay,
Mm.
in
Hmm.
soccer,
Big body.
he's 24. He turns 25 in July. Okay, he's just hit got his 300th goal, which
Wow.
um, if you compare ages or games, is much faster than either Cristiano or Messi got it. And
Mm.
Cristiano and just got his like recently his 900th. He's like 38 now, or he might even be older. He might be like 40 now. But and Messi's like 37. I think he has just under 900 goals. So this is somebody that you know, yeah, he'll probably slow down eventually. But if he continues the pace he's on right now, Erling Haaland may go down as the greatest goal scorer ever, and we're kind of
It-
in the peak of his rise.
mm. Yeah. And when do you know when he started? Like he got
He kind of broke
broke
in
into
for
it.
real at like 19, uh,
Jeez.
but
Whew.
yeah, and it's actually crazy because he was playing in like what's it called in Austria, and then he came over to Germany for a team called Dortmund, and he came off the
Mm.
bench and scored 4 goals on his debut. And yeah, it's like
That's
okay,
pretty good.
this guy he's pretty good. So
Yeah.
and
Big things
it just
coming
like
come for him.
insane numbers where he has like more goals than games played every single season he's ever played.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh
Yeah.
yeah.
Whew.
I mean currently they're doing the let's see what he did this year. When he was at Dortmund, his first season in Dortmund in the league he had 13 goals in 15 games. Next year 27 goals in 28 games. 22
Mm.
goals in 24 games. And these are just the league ones, right? He had a lot of non-league stuff too. So, yeah, it's just like an outrageous goal scorer and very, very talented guy down the line. I could see him being one of the all times, obviously.
Hmm.
Already won a bunch too, and now he's at Man City, right? So, but let's transition real quick, okay? We're talking about great
Sure.
players. Let's talk about great legacy films, okay? Because I
Yes.
texted you when I saw this. Uh, James Bond has a confirmed director. It's Denis Villeneuve. It's
Mm.
pretty sweet. I think it'll be awesome. It does. I did see he doesn't have like final cut of the film, and so the Amazon producers do have the final cut, which is kind of
That's sad.
you hate to see that, but also
Yeah.
my hope is that them saying we're going to go out and get a guy like Denny to make this is them being aware that okay, this is the guy we need to actually give the right amount of leeway to and let him make the artistic choices, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, how do you like? I don't know. You go watch any of his movies. His movies are spectacular,
Hmm.
I just I know it totally has the potential to happen where like 10 years from now it turns out like oh that James Bond movie that didn't even sucked and it's because they cut out like 45 minutes of it and it's like ugh. But I really hope they don't.
Yeah. So they have him. Is it only he's only locked in for one film, or is it
He's only locked
multiple?
in for one, but there were stuff about how depending on how it goes they could bring him back for multiples.
Okay. Yeah, because I gotta refresh myself on the James Bond history in the directors because I guess it's not. Is it common for just to be kind of a one-off for the directors, or have
Interesting.
directors done like multiple? It doesn't give me the vibe that there's been like a director has done like three in a row or something.
No,
Maybe
I
the early ones
well
did.
I think so. I saw other reports talking about how Amazon's first choice was Nolan, and they wanted to bring Nolan
Okay.
to do it, but Nolan refused, and the idea is probably because he wanted Final Cut, and also probably
Yes. Oh yeah.
he wanted a multi-movie deal is probably this, the fair assumption.
Hmm.
And Amazon's like, no, we want control, and we don't want to
Yep.
lock ourselves into things, which is fair. But
Yeah.
and I think Nolan would have done great. Um, but I'm excited to see what Denis can do. I think he could do something really special,
Yeah.
and especially if
Yeah.
they
They
bring the right
probably want.
guy.
Yeah, they probably want to see too how the first one goes, and
And it's the first
especially
one.
bringing a new Bond and bringing in a new Bond as well. So it's
Yeah.
like
Well, and new
that's a
Bond,
clash.
new director, right? But the biggest thing, new producers. Like
Yeah.
because the Broccoli's did it for forever, right? And so now you have like these new studio leads gonna take over. So like that's a big deal, Then
Hmm. Hmm.
and behind the scenes stuff has to go right as well as the art stuff. But yeah, so it'd be cool to see what they do. Um, it's probably I keep seeing reports it's gonna be ATJ, but or a yeah ATJ, but
Yeah.
I just saw another thing talking about how, also on Amazon's wish list is Harris Dickinson.
Oh, I saw this. Oh, I saw Tom Holland. I
Well,
was like,
that's
what?
no, that's
I
insane.
don't know
That is
about
frank.
that, bro.
That is a horrible choice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I did see that he's on their wish list for cast, but I think that's probably not for James
Yeah.
Bond. I don't think that he
Okay.
would be as Bond. If they brought him in, I mean that's a big cast you have to fill, right? Those movies. Um, but I would love to see them do like the James Bond and James Bond's like sidekick guy, like his assistant, and then have
Mhm.
Tom Holland be the sidekick that turns evil. Like that's a classic James Bond
Yeah,
storyline, right? And
that'd be sick.
yeah, I don't know, it
Yo,
could be cool.
villain Tom Holland. That'd be
I
kind of
want
cool.
Villain Holland. Can we hype that?
Yeah.
He
Switch it
doesn't.
up. Let's
Yeah,
do
come
it.
on. So yeah, could be really
Um,
sweet. Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, we were just talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson and how he might be become Bond, and I actually just saw him in a movie this weekend. I was really hyped for 28 years later. Kind of yeah, I guess you could say sequel to 28 Days Later, even though
yeah.
there is a 28 Weeks Later. I haven't seen that film. I'm not sure. I don't think. Because Danny Boyle, he was the director of the first one, and then directed this one again, and had Alex Garland as a writer. But I don't know if he did that 28 weeks later.
Yeah.
But it's just a follow up from the first one, you could say. Um, but yeah, it's 28 years later since this virus broke out in England, and I think what's really cool about this is a lot of zombie movies is like the whole world becomes an apocalypse, but in this one they actually just quarantine England, and the rest of the world is still functioning around it, and all these people are quarantined, so they're just stuck on England
Mm,
and they can't leave, and no one can come in, and if someone comes to England, they're stuck there, can't leave. So or the UK, I guess. But yeah, this was the thing about it that was that it was very it was not actually what I expected.
mm.
But actually, I really loved it. And there's actually not a lot of Aaron Taylor Johnson in it.
Oh,
He's
really?
only in it for like he's in it for like kind of the first half of the film. But the most of it is about his son, and then his mom too. So his son Spike is in it for the whole movie, and they kind of set it up for sequels with
Mm-hmm.
his son being the lead. And I'm actually like really excited for the next one. But it was less than 2 hours. It was like hour 55 minutes. It was the first half was like super gritty though. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was like, there was like these crazy edits where um, like Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, they're using like bows and arrows to kill these zombies, which is kind of sick. And it's like all the zombies are actually just like butt ass naked, because it's like they don't have clothes anymore because they're just zombies. They're just like kind of an animal pretty much.
Okay.
And yeah, there's these like crazy cuts where it's like he'll like headshot a zombie, and it will like freeze frame on the arrow going through the zombie's head, and just like that. I'm like, this is like the weirdest, this is the craziest thing I've ever
Yeah,
seen,
interesting.
in like an actual studio zombie movie.
Yeah.
So like the first half of it was like super, was pretty tense and pretty was really good for like that kind of zombie movie. And then the last half kind of, transitioned away from that a little bit, but more of a about like the son and his mom who has this like sickness, and they're trying to like find a doctor, which is Raf finds a character,
Yeah,
and he's like,
okay. Is Ray
yeah,
Fiennes a zombie in the
Ray
movie?
finds. No, he's like this doctor, and they all think he's like this crazy doctor.
Why does he look like a
And
zombie?
because he's like doing that, so it like blends him
Oh,
in.
okay, okay.
That's a big like zombie lore thing. It's like
Right.
we'll like put ourselves in blood and kind of thing. And um, but yeah, he was in it. He was in it actually a good amount. But yeah, the trailer does throw you off of what you like think the movie is going to be about, and how the characters are going to be. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is kind of a dickhead. Honestly, he's kind of an asshole.
Well, that's kind of who he portrays in movies, you know. He's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
always a little bit, snarky.
Yeah, but yeah, I really loved it. I think I'm gonna try and see it again. Um, but yeah, excited for the sequel. Oh yeah, and then the ending is just hilarious because it's like super campy because
Hmm.
they got I think it's Jack Russell. He's gonna be like he kind of gets introduced right at the end, and he's going to be seems like kind of the villain for the next movie. But it's just a very campy way of ending it. I was like, this is kind of funny, this is kind of fun. And they and that was my favorite part of the whole movie was the first movie. There's this great scene where Cillian Murphy's character is like wandering through London. I think it's London,
Hmm.
and he's just like he was like in a hospital. He doesn't really know what was going on, and he doesn't know about the zombies or stuff. And in the background is like my favorite band, Godspeed You Black Emperor. One of their first songs they ever put out, they
Hmm.
put on the soundtrack, and it got a lot of people. It didn't introduce me to the band, but it introduced a lot of people to the band, and they brought the song back for this movie
Okay, yeah,
near like the end. And I was like, oh, this is cool, and it was like a really cool build up.
yeah.
So I was like, yes. I was like, I didn't know if it was going to come back, but yeah, I love that. And I saw the F1 movie too.
Let's come back to
Yeah,
F1 because I'm
yeah,
gonna see
sure.
it this week too. But
Okay,
but
yeah, that,
but
that works.
just you can just say real quick, was it good or was it bad or was it meh?
It was good. It was enjoyable.
Okay,
I'll say that.
okay.
Like it wasn't crazy. It
It's
was
pretty long
enjoyable.
though, right? It's pretty long.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll say this.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back.
Yeah, I think you'll like some stuff about it.
Okay.
So,
Hell yeah.
um,
Okay, we'll come back
but,
to that
but yeah,
because I am excited to see that and then we can have a long conversation about F1.
sure,
Uh
sure.
but let's go real quick. My Ren's wreck of the week, okay? Earlier this week
Hell yeah.
I watched True Grit, Coen Brothers movie, okay?
Banger.
Uh
Banger,
with
man.
Jeff Bridges, which you always know when Jeff's in a Coen Brothers film, it's gonna be a banger. This is Haley Steinfeld at her best. Never seen a better Haley Steinfeld performance than this. And she's like 14 and she's balling. And the whole time
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I could see why everyone like wants to put her in everything because she's really fucking
Hmm.
good. And I've seen her good in other things too, but this specifically, this is from like 2010, so she's like literally 14 and she's awesome. But it also has like Matt Damon and Josh Brolin are just like there being cowboy wilderness bandit guys, and it's just great. The
Hmm.
whole thing is funny. It's a western. It's a remake of a classic movie from like I think 1969. So pretty cool. And I did look up. I haven't seen the original, but it seemed like they took the exact storyline from the first one, and then they just added their Coen brothers like weird, like twisted, like made everyone a drunk kind of vibes.
Hmm.
And it works really well. but
Hmm.
but
I I love this movie. Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I'm pretty sure,
Really?
like when it came out in 2010. I loved it then, and I wasn't really like, I don't know. It's just someone that doesn't watch like westerns or
Yeah.
like anything like that. I was like, this is just a fun movie, and I never knew that was Haley Steinfeld until like recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned it or someone mentioned it. I was like, oh crap, that's kind of crazy. You don't really put that together
Yeah,
until later on.
there are so many awesome like dialogue lines, and again, she's delivering a great performance as this kind of like wise beyond her years young woman who's trying to get revenge for her father's killer and like trying to recruit these like
Hmm.
drunk, useless men to help her hunt him down, and that's what Jeff Bridges is, and it's great, and Matt Damon too is very similar. But yeah, it's very great. Literally, I think I give a 5 star. It's like it
Oh
went
yeah.
into my collection of movies I love, which it's not hard for Coen Brothers movies to get in there, like basically always. But
Yep.
I'm like, this is so good. So I wanted to throw that one out
Well,
there as
mhm.
the wreck of the week.
Maybe we just need what are wait, aren't the Coen brothers still making movies together, or did they like separate or something?
So
Is
I
that, is
know
that,
their
is that time
next
that
their next
separated?
set are gonna be separate. So
Okay.
we'll see if they come back. But
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we just need to see her in another Coen brothers movie to unleash
no, I mean
the
she's
full
good in
potential.
everything I've seen. I'm just saying this
Yeah.
is the best
Yeah.
I've seen her.
Yeah. Good in Sinners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I got to rewatch that because I think I saw it in theaters, and then I definitely saw it maybe one or two more times since then. But yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, anything with Jeff Bridges,
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff. Um, but yeah, all right. Well, let's yeah, we could transition to music
Please.
for my album of the week. And we've been talking about this group, I swear, like almost every other week the past few weeks. But
I got you
I
in on them.
finally listened. Yeah, you did, and I finally listened to the new Tropical Fuckstorm album, Fairyland Codex, and I actually listened to it mostly yesterday. Like for the past week, I'd like listened to the first two songs, which I love, and then something else would come up, and I couldn't like finish
Yeah.
the album, and so I was able to like actually finish it yesterday. I was actually just laying by the pool, had some AirPods in, and it was really good. I was actually really surprised because a lot of it actually isn't like as chaotic. Like there's the chaotic songs, and then there's the more like kind of the slower songs. And I actually really like their slower songs,
Mm-hmm.
like really unique because they still have like a weird like experimental edge to them. So I just love the mix between the kind of the crazy songs like Goon Show, like
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
sick
banger.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the Dunning whatever Kruger song,
Yeah.
that one's crazy. I think my favorite song, I think it was the album title song, Fairyland Codex. I really
Oh yeah,
like that
yeah.
one. The like uh, uh, there's like a village in hell for you or something. I'm like, damn. But yeah, that's one of the slower ones, I guess. But and the closer was awesome. I'm like, I always love a good closer.
Yeah.
If you can give me a good closer, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna boost your album up so much for me.
Absolutely great pick, man. I mean like I think if you're making like music like that and you're trying to go, you're doing saying like we're gonna make something no one else is doing, and it's gonna sound like us, and no one else is gonna sound like this. This is us only. It's like that is what Tropical Fuckstorm does, and like
Yep.
specifically that I think this album is a really refined version of what they've done. Where some of the other stuff, it's like this is challenging and sometimes not really what I want to listen to, even though it's
Hmm.
interesting. And this one I agree. It's like challenging, it's interesting, and it's fun to listen to, right? And it's like
Hmm. Hmm.
just sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we were saying, like you just kind of put me on them. This is my first album I listened to them, so I haven't listened to any of their previous stuff. But from what you're saying, I could see that from some of the songs they have and in here how they could
Yeah,
kind of go off the rails a little bit.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that was the thing. It's like there's a great mix, and yeah, like I've only really listened to it like fully once or twice, but so I don't really have like a good score for it right now. But I,
okay,
I really like it. I'd say it's like around a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars for me.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, really, really, really good. Excited to listen to it more too.
Yeah. I'll throw out there too, man. They have an insane, frankly insane cover of Staying Alive. But
Really,
yeah, and
Bee Gees.
yeah,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's nuts, but then it's pretty sweet.
I love when bands like that, like the really like crazy, crazy ones, will do a cover of just like
Like it's
just a
song
classic song.
everyone knows and yeah,
Which usually it's really good. I
yeah,
don't know why. It's just like a
yeah,
different take on it is good. But yeah, yeah, excited to listen more. There's also some other like that came out. What was that, like 2 weeks ago?
yeah.
But there's some new music coming out this week. Lord,
Yep. It's
she
good.
put out a new album.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I listened to it one time and I liked it, but I wasn't like I
Yeah.
didn't I don't know. I was just listening to it while I was cleaning though, so that
For
probably
me,
wasn't.
I like Lord a lot. Like if there's any pop singer I want to listen to, she's the one my go-to, I think.
Hmm.
Um, this is not classic Lord. It's kind of new stuff, but
Yeah,
it's not bad. But there's a couple songs I was like, oh, this sounds like Taylor Swift a little bit. You know what I mean? And then there's a
yeah,
lot of it
yep,
does sound like her. It just you know what I mean. It is more poppy than some of her other stuff. So I say,
yeah. Crazy album cover too, with like the IUD. I think
yeah.
was like in like the zipper, and then I saw something. I don't know how true this is, but like there's like little white patches like in the like that like X-ray. Do you know what those are?
Uh, what? Tell us.
Someone said it's shit.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So yeah. So I don't know how true that is, but now it's just like ingrained in my mind. Seeing that,
Oh
I was
my
like, oh,
gosh.
that's fun.
Lovely.
Um, yeah. But so she put out an album. Got to dig into it more. Kevin Abstract from Brockhampton. He put out a solo album. I guess I don't know if you ever listened to Brockhampton, but they were like kind of a rap group, kind of
Right.
R&B group, 2010s. But I think they've kind of broken up since then, and they're all just doing like solo stuff. But yeah, he put out an album. I listened to it. It was pretty good. Look at some good stuff, good features. Really long. There's like 18 songs, I think. So that's always like you know, hard to like get me locked into it when you got that many songs. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad. It's good. I like list. It's definitely some good summer tunes in there. So
Okay.
um, that's good. My favorite song. This is a single, and it was also just announced they're releasing an album in October. But one of my favorite like metal bands right now, or at least favorite like up and coming metal bands, Sanguish Sugarbog from Columbus, Ohio. They just released a new single called oh god, forget what this thing is called.
Sanguis Sugar Bug is a crazy name.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, Abhorrent Contraception, great name. And the album that they're releasing in October, it's called Hideous Aftermath, and the album cover is yeah, it's a death metal album cover. That's for sure. But yeah, very. This is definitely like their like heaviest and most brutal song they've probably ever put out. Especially, and I think a big reason for this is they, they this album cycle they were able to get able to go and get production help from Kurt Ballou, who's like we saw the band Converge at Sonic Temple, and I
Mm,
think I was telling you about how their guitarist Kurt is like probably the biggest like producer in heavy music
mm.
like the last 20 years or whatever. And yeah, they went to him to get production help on this new album, and yeah, you can freaking tell this thing is like dense, like just a wall of sound. But yeah, good heavy death metal. And it was cool that they released a music video for it too. And it's I don't know if you've ever seen the Black Hole Sun
Mm.
music video by Soundgarden, and it's kind of like a homage to that music video, which is really
Oh,
cool. But
sweet. I'll have to check
uh,
that out.
even even creepier than
Okay.
that music video somehow. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, good Ohio death metal. But yeah, it's really cool to see a band from Ohio, especially in this genre I listen to a ton. Is
Yeah.
like the biggest name, not the biggest name, but one of the biggest names right now um, that you'll find around. So that's really cool to see. So shout out them.
I okay. I've got one other music movie thing. Okay.
Oh yes,
And that's there's gonna be a Bruce Springsteen movie starring Jeremy
yeah.
Allen White, and it looks really cool. And I just wanted to throw
I'm
it out
hyped.
there. It looks
I
sweet.
love that.
Uh,
Yeah, is that coming out in the summer?
I
Is that
I
this
think
summer or is that
I think we're a while off.
August or
I
something?
think they just
Okay,
announced it. So,
dang.
um,
Okay,
yeah. But
that's fine. I can wait.
another movie we're wild off, and I maybe we can blast off the space to discuss if that sounds good to you.
That's
Yeah.
that's cool with me.
Okay, we're up here. Um, we're doing fictional space discussion today,
Yeah.
because yeah, first trailer for Hail Mary, which is a movie based on the book. The guy, same guy I think that wrote The Martian, also wrote Hail
Yes.
Mary.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know. Or it's Project Hail Mary, I
Project
think.
Hail Mary.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know. Did they? Is it just released today?
The
The
trailer.
trailer?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that after
Oh,
this. I
okay.
knew that
Well,
they announced it, but I haven't seen the trailer
have
yet.
you seen the photo of Ryan Gosling and what he looks like
I
in this?
did. I did. He got the glasses.
They took some
That
choices. They took some choices for this film, I think. Giving him
well,
crazy hair.
so I was telling someone that's currently reading this book,
Okay, I just
and I
ordered it,
told
so
them, yeah, I told them that Ryan Gosling was going to be in it, and they were like, "What?" Like, and they like
hmm
Ryan Gosling, but he's like, they don't fit that at all, you know.
yeah.
But because he was like, he's this supposed to be this like nerdy looking, teacher guy,
hmm
and that's kind of like I saw like I just saw a picture of it when I pulled it up. But
Now,
he kind of looks like that.
now here's my the one thing. I think this is really cool. People really loved the book. I've just ordered it, so I'll get back to you on that. Now, Ryan Gosling's always great. I love all Ryan Gosling movies. Literally all of them are great. Now, I just want to be a little hesitant, a little cautious here because taking a look at the directors of this movie, it's co-directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. You might know them as the directors of the Lego Movie. They've also done 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and they did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and that's everything. That is all they've done.
Dude, all bangers, bro.
I mean, look,
Those are all bangers.
look.
But
I'm just saying that doesn't. Those aren't Ryan Gosling drifting through space movies. You know what I mean?
that is true. That is quite a jump going from which I'll say this. I love all those movies, but yeah, you're onto something there where it is kind of that's kind of a crazy jump. So the
Yeah,
last movie they did, was it 22 Jump Street
yeah.
then? The
22 Jump
last movie
Street,
they
which
did?
was
That was a
2014.
while ago. Holy crap.
Lego Movie's also 2014. Yeah, so it's been 11 years. I guess they've maybe been producing. They produced on the Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse movies,
Okay.
but yeah, it's oh, and they
Hmm.
also were writers on those movies too. It looks like, but yeah,
Okay. So they've been busy.
little bit weird, I think, that to look at that, his that resume and go, really? Like they're and the fact that we're seeing trailers for this movie, which Project Hail Mary, look, it's coming out next March. So we're
Mhm.
like not, 9 months, 10 months away. Like that to me is weird because it's like this is a really long ways away. I saw like 10 trailers on Instagram today for this movie. You know what I mean? It's like they're putting money in the marketing like hard. And so I'm wondering like
Mhm.
or do they think this is going to be the biggest movie ever and like that they're like fully bankrolling it or it just feels
Yeah.
early. It feels early.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would have been cool to. I don't remember who was the director of The Martian, but I feel
Mm.
like it would have been kind of cool to get them on this one, if they were interested. Uh, but yeah, I don't know what to expect because there's a lot that goes into like like a space, setting movie. There's the
Oh,
outside, just the writing and all that. A lot of
well,
things to consider.
and The Martian uh was directed by sci-fi directing royalty Ridley Scott. So,
Oh, right. Yeah. Ridley Scott. Why don't we get Ridley Scott on
yeah,
this?
let's get
Like,
Ridley
that'd
Scott
be
back. What's
perfect.
he doing, right?
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we got the Lego movie guys doing it. So you never know.
We get a nice sing along.
It could be really good.
Everything
It could
is
be terrible.
awesome. Can
When
we
you're
get
part
everything
of
is
a
awesome in
team,
space? Yeah.
yeah. I
Drifting in space is awesome.
ugh.
Ugh.
I think it looks good. It's just I'm always like, when you go look at the directors and it's people that haven't done a bunch of stuff in the past, like obviously people have to start somewhere. But you know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like, oh, it's like they haven't done anything. They haven't directed in 11 years. Like that's a big like kind of flag to look at. But
Yeah, kind of a red. Yeah, that's like they were still involved, but yeah, not directing a movie. It's like why? But it's not like they really did like a flop though. It wasn't like their last movie was a
well,
flop,
22
So
Jump
it's like
Street wasn't huge, right? But I
no.
get it.
Honestly, I thought some of the stuff in 22 Jump Street may have been better than 21 Jump
Really?
Street.
But 20, I remember 21
Yeah.
Jump Street was like a really big movie. I don't
Yeah.
remember
Oh yeah, that's true.
22
That's
being
true.
like as I don't know, maybe I'm making it up, but it doesn't feel like it was
Yeah.
as successful.
No, yeah, I think you're right there. And we didn't ever get like a third one or something for that. So you would have thought you'd make a
Well,
trilogy, like comedy
and
trilogy or something.
they didn't direct, the Lego movie too. So
Yeah, in the Batman movie because they did
they
a Lego
produced
Batman.
on those, but they
Okay.
didn't write it or direct
Okay.
it. So
Hmm.
yeah, interesting
Interesting.
stuff. I'm sure it'll be a great movie, but kind of fun. It is a great trailer though. I really recommend checking it out. Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling looks insane, but other than that, it's like classic Ryan Gosling, charming as fuck, like doing his thing,
Yep.
and yeah, it looks really good.
I guess one thing I'll say, which is a good sign, is Andy Weir, who's
The
the
writer,
writer of the book. He's one of the producers, so at least he's like involved and kind
yeah,
of able to
yeah.
shed his opinion on things. So
I'll report back on what I think of the book. I'll report back on that.
okay,
We'll
sweet,
bring that up
sweet.
for next week. Um, with that, we kept it real short this week. I think that was
Yeah,
good. But we have lots to discuss next week. We'll bring in the F1. We could talk some when I finally finish it. We'll talk about some Project Hail Mary. But is there anything else you want to tell people?
no, no, this
Alrighty,
yeah, nothing for me.
hell yeah. Okay, well thank you for listening. Cheers everybody, and talk to you next week.
Yep. Cheers, everyone.